Hello, this is Kirill from forexpert.com and welcome back to the course on money management. Today we're going to continue exploring the different methods and we're going to add the Larry Williams method into the mix and explore some scenarios with all three and compare them side by side. But before we do, I'd like to ask you for a small favor. I know that we've not finished the course yet and I've already mentioned this before, but I would really appreciate if you could leave a review. Now, if you've already left a review, thank you very much. It really means a lot to me. But if you haven't, all you have to do is click at the top here, write a review, and then select the number of stars you think the course deserves, and maybe write a small message if you want to. Click add review, and that's it. It'll really help me out, and it will help potential students see the value of this course. So I really hope you can do that for me. But now let's move on back to our investigations. Alright, so to start off with, let's go back to our original settings that we had. Here we had $1,000, one lot, profit $250, and here we had 10 orders. And now we're going to add in the Larry Williams method into this mix. Yes, and as you can see, the red line has appeared. So what we can see from here right away is we can see two exponents, both in volume and in balance. So the one in balance makes sense. That's something we looked at and we discussed. The account balance in the Larry Williams method experiences an exponential growth. But how come the volume is also growing exponentially? Well, the reason behind that is because of the Larry Williams method formula. As you recall, the volume is always proportional to the account balance. And therefore, if the balance is growing exponentially, the volume will also grow exponentially. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, just to remember how this chart looks as well. So now what we're going to do, the first step is probably let's also, like we did previously, change the number of orders to 20. And so here you can see right away that within 20 orders, the Larry Williams method dwarfs both the Ryan Jones method and the linear money management method. So it's just incredible to see how much more profitable the Larry Williams method is than both of those two. So if we say, let's switch off the Larry Williams method for a second. Here, as you recall, this was quite impressive that the fixed ratio method earned $15,000 at the same time as the linear method earned only $5,000. So that was 3 times more. But now when we add in the Larry Williams method, 15 or 3 times more seems like nothing. So it's while a trader trading this same trading strategy earns $5,000, a trader applying the Larry Williams method earns something like $86,000 or $85,000. So that is just incredible. That is 17 times more than the trader trading with the linear strategy, and it's still much greater than the fixed ratio method. So kind of starts to make sense how Larry Williams was able to make $1 million out of 10,000 in just 12 months. Of course, as we discussed, this method has its drawbacks. It's quite risky and has certain traps, but if you're able to pull it off, you can convert $1,000 into, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in a very short period of time. So let's start to maybe experiment a little bit more here, and let's say the fixed ratio delta is not 1,000 but rather 500. Here you can see that the Ryan Jones method is actually catching up to the Larry Williams method. Not in the long run, but at the start they were quite close, and then the Larry Williams method still shot far away. So another interesting thing I wanted to show you is that what happens when we change the starting balance. So let's say we leave everything else the same, but we change the starting balance to $2,000. As you recall previously, it didn't really affect the Ryan Jones and the linear method. It just shifted this chart up. But let's see what happens now. So I changed that, and something very interesting happens. You can see that the Larry Williams method now is below the Ryan Jones method. And that is quite peculiar, isn't it? Why does that happen? Why are those two other methods not affected? As you can see, with $2,000 starting balance, the linear method still earns $5,000, and the fixed ratio method still earns from 2,000 to 30,000. Well, it does earn a bit more, seems like it. So it goes up by, oh, that's right, because we changed the fixed ratio delta, so of course it will earn more. But nevertheless, the starting balance doesn't affect the profits of these two methods. But for the linear method, or the Larry-Williams method, it plays a significant role. So why does that happen? Well, if we think about it, the Larry-Williams method says that the volume is always proportional to the starting balance. So if your starting lot is starting volume is one lot, and your starting balance was $1,000, that means that for every $1,000, you're adding on an extra lot. But now, because we're saying that the starting balance is $2,000 and we're still trading with that single lot, that means that we're only adding one extra lot for every $2,000 of the account balance. So that basically means it kind of changes the proportion. It says that now you're adding on lots twice as slow. But what else is interesting is that you can see here that even though the Larry-Williams method is below the fixed ratio method for now, if you increase the number of orders, so you go further down the track, let's say 25, you'll see that it's slowly catching up. It's already beaten the fixed ratio method in terms of lots, so it's exceeded it. It's not there in profit yet, but if we go to 30, for example, you can see how they're crossing here and how the Larry-Williams method is shooting out again. So if we go to 50, once again, the Larry-Williams method has dwarfed the fixed ratio method. And this stands to show that the Larry-Williams method has incredible potential. It can skyrocket your balance, like literally skyrocket your balance. But at the same time, you have to be careful. It is a very, very risky method, and a lot of traders have burned themselves on it. Even though it has high promises and potential, there's a very high risk of ruin as well. So just bear that in mind, and don't just blindly apply the Larry-Williams method. Always calculate your risks. And personally, I prefer the fixed ratio method. It's more kind of thorough, and it is a bit slower, but it has more system to it. It's more systematic rather than the Larry-Williams method. That's in my opinion. And also, I do highly encourage you to check out the next section of this course, where we talk about the Kelly criterion, because for any one of these methods, the Kelly criterion will add even more structure. It will help you determine how much you can risk, or how much you should hypothetically risk of your balance for any given trade. We'll talk about things like risk of ruin and aggressive risk taking versus conservative risk taking and things like that. So this is going to be a really exciting section. But before then, of course, we're going to summarize what we talked about in this section. So that's all for today. If you haven't yet left a review, I'd really appreciate it if you could, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading.